What's up, everybody? This is DogNation.com's Before the Hedges, Wednesday edition, like we do every Wednesday. How is everybody doing? Everybody okay? Hope everybody's doing well. If you could describe your week so far in one word, what would it be? My week would be busy. Lots going on right now, as you guys will see. Thanks to everybody jumping in. Bo Bridges, Javon Perry, Jerry Dogs fan, Sonia Prescott, Nate Thomas, Big General, Kevin Green. I try to get everybody that showed up on the leaderboard right out of the gate. Try to give you guys a shout out. So we're going to talk about a lot of things Georgia recruiting. We're going to talk about a lot of things visitor weekend. Whew, goodness. I think I need a secretary and an assistant and an intern to keep up with all these guys that are RSVPing with me right now about what's going down. So let's do this, folks. I'm going to tell you, get excited, buckle in, maybe grab your favorite tasty beverage if you want to. I'll give you a quick 5-second pause to go get a tasty beverage, but this might be a tasty beverage, first ever tasty beverage moment of a Before the Hedges program. Of course, you can find your tasty beverage at Kroger. Our program is brought to you by Kroger. It then becomes a podcast on SoundCloud, the Apple Podcast platform, Spotify, or wherever you get your daily podcasting needs. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try and act like was the guy's name Monty Hall that goes, "Let's make a deal." We're gonna have some interactive hedges right now. We're gonna talk about a lot of things. We're gonna talk about the recruits I talk to daily, hourly right now are stoked. They're excited about Georgia's start. Folks, there's just something different about the way Georgia used to play defense and the way they play defense now. It's a dominating unit. Georgia's pass rush has figured out that the athletes chasing the offensive side of the ball are probably just as good and athletic. Maybe some of those old school gap integrity principles aren't there, as Georgia is just kind of just unleashing guys and having them to go get the passer. But let's do this. I said Monty Hall, and I said let's make a deal. So let's go this right now. Door number one, door number two, or door number three. I'm gonna give you an option for each of them. I'm gonna look at the chats for about maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds or so, and see what the instant reaction is going to be. So door number one, I want to give you. Would you like to hear first? Would you like to hear about the name of a 5-star quarterback that is going to be visiting Athens, Georgia this weekend for the South Carolina game? That's door number one. Door number two, would you like to hear about a Georgia major target for the 2022 class that has sped up his commitment timeline, that is now going to make his commitment a lot faster? Or for door number three, some good choices here. For door number three, would you like to hear about the guest list so far for top 100 recruits for the Georgia-South Carolina game this weekend? So it's funny. Bank 6 was like, BA would love the 5-star QB door. Everybody wants number 2. Everybody wants number 3. Door number 3. I'm still looking. Door number 3. The more names, the better. Lots of stuff. Or door number 4. Do you want to hear about a major Georgia target that has backed up his commitment just a little bit? Yeah, like I said, maybe we should do this. I like this. Maybe we should do this. I mentioned tasty beverages, and then I make an obscure 80s game show reference. If we could ever get Plinko involved in a Before the Hedges special, or maybe that mountain climber game. You remember that from Price is Right, where the mountain climber would go up and up? But anyway, let's start out. I see a lot. Door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. Patrick Barnhart, you're right. This is a true question, because door number 2 is definitely a trick question. So let me just say this. Let's go door. Antonio Jones says they want to smoke. Let's go door number 2 first. Door number 2, let's start that first. And really, it applies to two guys in the class. Um, Luther Burden, the 5-star wide receiver, who just had a really brilliant game from when they played St. John Bosco this past weekend out in California. But Luther Burden will make his announcement on October 20th at East St. Louis High School. That kind of moves things up considerably because lots of folks thought he would take a bunch of visits. He would take some official visits. Then he would be ready to make his decision. On the eve of that announcement, you see some crystal balls popping up or some future cast popping up for the University of Missouri on that. But I'd like to think that Georgia and Missouri are really kind of. He also teased this week. We'll show this later in the program, but he also teased this week that he was moving up his timetable considerably on another matter as well, and that was that he was getting to a top 3 pretty soon, like this week. And the second reason I want to go why we're doing door number 2. Door number 2 would be there's also another Georgia target, a major Georgia target that has sped up his commitment date. That door number 2 is 3-star edge defender Carlton C.J. Madden. We have a tweet here. He was supposed to do it on September the 18th, and then he said it was September the 18th at noon. We kind of had this. We were talking about this on the Dog Nation forum, forum.dognation.com, if you didn't know this. But earlier this week, we had a hint, we had a hankering that Carlton Madden Jr. would not wait till the weekend to make his decision known, and he's going to make his commitment decision tomorrow at 12 noon. So right there, folks, we have. I got to get Michael to build a graphic for this. He's so great with graphics like hot takes, but. This is Commitment Watch. You know, if we can ever sound like Weather Channel, we can get like a streaming right there. I know Mike's so good with the CGs and everything and the lettering. We're actually in a Commitment Watch right now. So we would say in less than 16 hours, Carlton C.J. Madden will make his college commitment decision known. He, of course, he canceled his official visit to Tennessee last week. So there you go. You got door number 2. Door number 2 is open. And for all you guys that voted door number 2, great for you because you got it was kind of a double header where you got 2 guys named. So we got door number 2 now. So you guys remember, we got a couple more. You want to go door number 3? Does everybody remember what door number 3 is? Does everybody remember what door number 1 is? Let me take a quick. I'm going to put let me get my smartwatch going. I'm going to put a quick 15, 20-second timer as we wait. I think Greg Childers just says dogs keep winning. Recruiting is going to get smoking hot. Greg, I would agree with you. And I think it's going to be really hot in the 2023 class as well before you know it. Listen, everybody talking about BA's program. We got about maybe 15, 10 more seconds. Door number 3, door number 2. I'm seeing a lot of door number 3s right now. And if that's the case, I did not think that door number 3 was going to win. That just goes to show you, BA has not programmed the Georgia Dog Nation social club, social channels well enough to just go for the 5-star quarterback. There you have it. I see a bunch of door number 3s. Clock is stopped. Let's get at it. We've got a list right here of the top 125 recruits that are expected to be in Athens this weekend, and that sucker is populating daily. We got some big names on the board. Georgia, folks, if you want another reason to raise your tasty beverage and kind of swill that thing around, Georgia will have an official visitor this weekend. They're actually going to be 2. Dylan Bell. As of now, there's actually going to be 2. There's Dylan Bell. He is a Georgia wide receiver commitment, and Dylan Bell will be taking his official visit to Georgia this weekend. But the other guy is Ernest Green. Ernest Green out of St. John Bosco in California. Ben Shepard. Hey, man, appreciate that. Ben Shepard gave me a shout out on the article on Tralee Hale. I thank you for that. That's one of those things where I really wanted to find some time during the week, during this busy week, to make sure and tell that story, because here at dognation.com, we're still about story first and telling our stories as well. Let's see here. We got a list. Let me just kind of go through the list off my memory. Starting for this weekend, the highest rated guy that's currently scheduled to appear in the 2022 class is Georgia commitment Malachi Starks. He's number 21 overall. Then you've got Anai White. That's another big visitor. He took an official visit to Georgia over the summer. He will be coming as an unofficial visitor. Anai White is really tight with Tyke Smith. They both went to the same high school, but they're both products of the same high school. Number 34 overall, that is a number 3 edge. Of course, he has to like all these sacks he's seeing. That was one of the things that White needed to see from Georgia. He wanted to know how Georgia's pass rush would kind of compare to what he was seeing with Texas A&M and Alabama and Ohio State. Number 4, Jalen Walker, another Georgia commitment, number 43 overall. Gunnar Stockton, another Georgia commitment, number 44 overall. He's committed to Georgia. We mentioned Ernest Green, the OG Ernest Green, got family all in Savannah. He came to Georgia. Listen to this, folks. If you want to talk about matching pattern and pattern matching, Ernest Green came to Georgia right before the dead period dropped at the end of July for the cookout. He then came to Georgia to see Georgia play Clemson. He was at the Georgia-Clemson game, and now he's coming back to Georgia for his official visit on the 18th. He did not take his official visit to Ohio State this past weekend, which was highly interesting for a fellow like me who covers this stuff. And now what you see matching up here is you see three straight visits or 3 straight interactions with the University of Georgia for Ernest Green. He's the nation's number 2 interior offensive lineman. He's number 61 overall, I believe, in the country. And then also you've got 4-star tight end Oscar Delp. Probably since Delp's going to be there, when I knew Delp was going to be there, I was certain that I knew Gunnar Stockton was going to be there. Oscar Delp, 2 of his finalists are Georgia, South Carolina. Very interesting there. Oscar Delp, the nation's number 97 overall prospect, the tight end. And another name I wanted to throw in this list, and I believe Marquise Groves-Killebrew is also going to be attending. That's another top 125 prospect. But, folks, I want you to look down at that last name right there. 4-star defensive tackle Christian Miller out of Ellenwood, Georgia, the nation's number 19 defensive lineman and the number 111 overall target. Folks, Christian Miller is a lot better than that. He's an extremely viable commodity, extremely talented player in the 2022 class, defensive lineman. So energetic. Wherever he shows up, he's going to have like a Jordan Davis size personality. And listen, let me show you a little bit of something right here. Christian Miller has told me this week that he is basically focusing on Georgia and Ohio State. USC is no longer a factor in his recruitment. He is going to give an official visit to Oregon as well. That was kind of weird. Like Oregon and Ohio State were among his final 4, so to speak, and he went and saw them on the official visit to Ohio State last weekend. Christian told me a funny story. He said, so he's in the box for the Ohio State game with all the Ohio State recruits, and some Oregon players came over to their box and said, "You guys need to go to Oregon. You guys need to go to Oregon. Don't come here. You guys need to look at that scoreboard and check out Oregon." So if you want to talk about there is no sensitivity and there is no bashfulness at all in the world of high stakes college recruiting, that's it right there. Christian Miller saying that the Oregon players were telling him, "Don't go here. Come play for us at Oregon if you want to win a big game like that." And I know Michael has a hot take graphic. Maybe, man, that's cold. I'd like to have some ice balls, maybe a picture of that iceberg that knocked out the Titanic. Man, that's cold. That's cold for a player to do that in somebody else's stadium whenever all these other recruits are on their official visit. So big names. And we got so many guys. We mentioned a lot of things. Visitors-wise, I think I'm going to kind of segue a little bit into door number 1. Everybody wanted to know about the 5-star quarterback that will be visiting. Georgia this weekend for Georgia, South Carolina. On3sports.com, on3.com has a report right now out that Arch Manning will be in the house for Georgia, South Carolina as well. Arch Manning visited Georgia in the summer. And folks, I would like to thank all you intrepid dognation.com on the sly recruiting reporter. I must have gotten about. I mean, you don't even need to be on, a shoe leather journalist. You don't need to be walking the streets. I got about 10 pictures from fans or people that are like, "Hey, is this Arch Manning? This really looks like Arch Manning when he was eating lunch at a certain spot, or he was going hither or where around Athens." So you got Arch Manning. Another name to think about. Let me see. I know Big Play Kyan Lee in the 2023 class will also be there in Athens. Another top 100 recruit in the 2023 class, 6'7", offensive tackle Bo Hughley out of Langston Hughes High School in Fairburn, Georgia, will also be there. Just got confirmation a couple hours ago that Reuben Owens II, that is I want you to think a 2021 model, or excuse me, a 2023 recruit model, Reggie Bush type player. He's going to be in Athens again for Georgia, South Carolina. He wasn't able to make it to to North Carolina for Clemson, Georgia. Reuben Owens is going to be there. And for folks, I think last week was kind of the tune-up. Let me give you a quick highlight of like last week's visitors. You saw guys like Madden Sanker, 2023 offensive lineman, top 100. You saw 2024 top 10 recruit Sammy Brown out of Jefferson High in Jefferson, Georgia. You saw Jake Pope. Jake Pope actually made it. I think I tweeted that. I don't know if I wrote a great deal about it, but Jake Pope, the Alabama safety commitment, was in Athens. He checked out Georgia UAB this weekend as well. So 2023 is coming in really deep. 2022 is coming in really deep. So we're going to have official visitors. There will be official visitors inside Sanford Stadium once again. Still, a lot of these recruits have never seen a night game, especially with the red lights, especially with the Krypton fanfare. They've never really kind of seen how everybody gets down for a night game inside Sanford Stadium. So that'll be a lot of fun to watch all the way around. So let me see. We got door number 1 open. That was Arch Manning reportedly visiting for Georgia, South Carolina. Door number 2 was, we talked about the 2 Georgia targets that have moved up their commitment dates. One of them is C.J. Carlton, C.J. Madden, who's on a commitment watch for high noon tomorrow. The other one was Luther Burden, the 5-star wide receiver. And now we just went through the whole list. We went the list of, the top 125 recruits that are going to be in town just in the 2022 class. We rolled over some of the big 5-star names that are going to be there from the 2023 class. So lots going on, lots of visitors inside Sanford Stadium. How does everybody feel about that? I want everybody to give me two things. We're interactive today on Hedges. I want to follow the lead of Jason Evans, and he wants to know the score. What do you think the score for the SC game will be? I want this. I want you to give me your score for the SC game. I'll go first. I think Georgia's going to win 38-3. I think Georgia's going to win that game 38-3. And then the other thing I want to know is seeing all those lists you guys saw. What is the one word that comes to your mind right now, seeing that many big time recruits will be back in Sanford Stadium once again? What's the one word that kind of comes to your mind? That's a lot of things. We got some 52-7s. We got some. See, the hard part there is, folks, I'm going to be honest with you. I look at football games. I watch football games. I watch players. You guys see our Go with the Flow shows that show up on Friday where everybody's picking games. I don't follow point spreads or against the spreads or road dogs or, I don't follow that stuff. I just look and see who's got the better guys up front, the better players, better personnel advantages, and I start picking games. But the thing that I've been told about Georgia, South Carolina, which is going to be so difficult to pick, is there's a 32-point spread right now, according to those sports entertainment enthusiasts in Las Vegas. But there's also like a 48-point over-under. So you got to think, can Georgia cover the spread of 31 points, but also go over or under 48? That's a tricky one for this week. I see Becky Rutledge is making her opinion where she thinks that Georgia will not hit the over and go over 48 points, but they will cover the 31-point spread. Excuse me. Tracy Dilworth sees a 21-point game, so that would be under, and Georgia would not even cover the 31 points. Very interesting to see there. I think a lot of people would remember the last time South Carolina came a-calling inside Sanford Stadium, and they shocked Georgia. I think Georgia had 5 turnovers. I think they had maybe 1.5 healthy receivers in the game. Will Muschamp was a jubilant South Carolina coach, having a great old time. So I think things will be a lot different this time in Athens Town. I'm going to be there. Who's going? If you guys are going, Joe Wells, you're making me laugh, folks. Joe Wells has 100-0. Joe Wells has 100 burger on. You know what, Joe? I'm going to tell you what, my buddy, my dude. You can sit there and make that prediction for next week too, because I would think that the 100 burger for Georgia, that might be 100-0 game the next weekend with Vanderbilt, or at least 55-65-0 or something like that. It's going to be everybody's already. I've had a couple of recruiting parents tell me that I thought might have made the trip and were seemingly inclined to make the trip, but they're like, rain games do not really appeal to folks like that. They don't like going to football games in the rain. That was one of the things I reached out. I don't think Michael Williams is going to be at the game this weekend just because of the weather. But that's the other thing. What do we do? We pick the game. We've talked about over-unders. We talked about the word that comes to your mind when you hear about these big-time recruits that are going to be in Sanford Stadium. Who do you guys think the quarterback's going to be? I think the quarterback's going to be Stetson Bennett. I don't think there's really a need to play JT Daniels for the next 2 weeks, especially. So there you have it, guys. That's what we would call in this business an opening block. We got to play Before the Hedges. Let's make a deal. We went door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3. I almost put another door number 4, and I was like, if you want to choose the special guest, pick door number 4, and I'd call up a guy that I had on standby tonight for me to be a special guest tonight, a big prospect in the 2022 class. It's funny. I see Genesis. That's a great name, by the way, Genesis. Let me just say that. Genesis Anderson has Brock Vandegrift as their pick to start this weekend. Well, that would certainly be quarterback roulette for Kirby Smart with all those bullets in his chamber. And if he trots out Brock Vandegrift, that would certainly get the beat writer nation going crazy. Folks, let's do this. This program is brought to you by Kroger. Kroger is our great sponsor for going on 6 years now here on Before the Hedges every Wednesday night. When it was Wednesday Night Live with the squeaky screen door and with Peaches running in and out of the room all the time the last few years. Let's do this. Let's take a minute, and I want you guys to get the chance to see, once again, the special message this week from Kroger.
We'll get back to the show in just a moment, but first, a quick word from Kroger. Kroger has made shopping for the groceries and household essential items that you need even easier by offering free pickup. Just shop online, choose a pickup time convenient for you, and Kroger will carefully pick out your order and bring it to your vehicle when you arrive. So the next time you're ready to shop at Kroger, take advantage of the free pickup. It's just another way that Kroger is fresh for everyone.
All right, guys, there you go. Let me tell you something really fast. We have Before the Hedges coming back with you. This is the second half of Before the Hedges. I'm Jeff Sintel. I'm your intrepid host / photographer / writer for all things recruiting on Georgia football, recruiting on DogNation.com. Hope everybody's doing great tonight. That message, folks, this is what we're in the lab for. That message, folks, is brought to you by Kroger, but we've got a new one. We've got a new one working in the lab. It's got Jeff. It's got Chef John from Kroger. We're at a tailgate. I'm gonna give you a little bitty teaser. It has something to do with the color orange. It has something to do with the color orange. You guys will be seeing those spots on our Dog Nation social channels sometime pretty soon. But we'll be able to show you guys a different promotional campaign, a different promotional teaser sometime coming up really, really soon. So there we have it. So we have came out of the locker room, guys. You know what's about to happen here. We're about to go top targets. New top target on the list. There's a couple of top targets that have drifted off the list to that honorable mention slots. Who do you guys think it's going to be? Who do you think the new name's going to be? Let's take a look at it right now. First one on the list, and I want you to be honest with me, guys. Let's have true serum before the hedges right here, okay? If you guys know the story of 3-star junior college defensive tackle Myron Green, if you'd already heard about him out of Fulton, Mississippi, a native of the city of New Orleans, now doing junior college football, he is the nation's #1 defensive tackle prospect for the 2022 cycle. He is a name that comes up on number 12 on this list. Interesting. Well, interesting to see where that one goes. Some folks might sit there and go, okay, is Myron Green a guy if Walter Nolan doesn't work out, and Big Bear Alexander doesn't work out, and Christian Miller doesn't work out? Is that how deep the rabbit hole goes with another prize defensive tackle target? Something to keep in mind. But number 11, Andre Green Jr., St. Christopher's, Richmond, Virginia. Folks, you keep watching the rankings come up. It's almost like watching stock rankings go up for Andre Green Jr. He is now the nation's number 8 wide receiver. I think we called that factoid, that little piece of information, and happening many moons ago. Number 10 on the list is Julio Humphrey out of Houston, Texas. He is currently a Florida commitment. He is going to make his official visit to UGA for the Arkansas game. That's a game where you might see some traction for other guys, some of the IMG guys. Perhaps a Kamari Wilson might make his official visit for that weekend as well. Number 9 is Michael Williams out of Columbus, Georgia, currently a USC commitment for now. Michael is currently a USC commitment. As of right now, I'm not expecting him to be in Athens this weekend. That might be a name, one of those names that you're not quite sure of. Number 8, 5-star Big Bear Alexander out of Fort Worth, Texas. Big Bear Alexander, very interesting there. He's going through a situation where he is trying to get eligibility for his senior year after his latest move. Been the rumor that Big Bear Alexander might actually end up at IMG Academy. I know that has been bantered about for him to get the chance to play his final senior season. Number 7, we mentioned his name a couple of times. That's Luther Burden out of East St. Louis, Illinois, right across the state line from St. Louis, Missouri in the Gateway Arch. Luther Burden is the nation's #1 wide receiver. Folks, I want to be honest with you. I don't think he's, really, I don't know if you sit there with the rankings. Side road here is I think the rankings are all about maybe 10 months behind about where these players are. For me, if you had to tell me who would you rather have, a Luther Burden or an Andre Green, who's the nation's number 8 receiver, I think Luther Burden is a guy that I feel comfortable saying that he's a top 5, top 6 wide receiver type talent. I don't know if he's the clear-cut number 1, but the rankings right now have him as a clear-cut number 1. Number 6 on the list is 5-star defensive tackle Hero Canoe, Rancho Santa Margarita, California. Hero, guys, I believe he just turned 17 years of age. If I got that right, we'll have clarification a little bit later on in the show. Number 5, that's the 3-star outside linebacker Carlton Madden. He's played some inside linebacker for Cedar Grove. I would look to see him play a little bit more out on the edge, more out of the defensive end spot as the season goes by. Number 4, Jaheim Singletary. Talk about another name that's in the news. Jaheim feels like he's moving really quickly with his recruiting as well. Really not under any timetable about when he may or may not commit. I don't think he necessarily has to wait until an All-American game to do so. He feels like, I think I saw a recent tweet from him I want to bring to everyone's attention. Jaheim Singletary feels like he's down to his core schools, and he'll be narrowing a lot of those down shortly. Number 3, spoke about him before, Christian Miller, Cedar Grove, Ellenwood, Georgia. Fantastic person, fantastic prospect, a great family. Christian Miller, I got something to write about him coming up on DogNation.com very soon. I think you guys will like. I kind of had a little bit of a news drop during our opening half of our show. Christian Miller will take an official visit to Oregon. He told me he will also take another unofficial visit to Ohio State, but he's also planning 2 trips to Georgia this fall. One of those will be this weekend. He will be in Athens this weekend for Georgia, South Carolina. He will also use his official visit as well for Georgia later on in the year. Be very interesting to see which game he chooses for that one. Christian Miller, a terrific defensive tackle prospect in the 2022 cycle. Number 2, 4-star tight end Oscar Delp. I talked a little bit about Oscar Delp. I covered Oscar Delp a little bit during the show open. We were rattling off some names. Here's what's happening with Oscar Delp. I don't think he's going to be able, unless it's last minute, I don't think he's going to be able to take another visit up to Michigan. That's my perception of the story here. He visited Clemson last weekend. He got treated like the most amazing tight end prospect ever. He got treated basically like he was a dude that would be able to play for Clemson, like Brock Bowers is currently playing for Georgia. Lot of personal time, a lot of time with Dabo, a lot of time being shown that he was the man. And Clemson, like Georgia, has told Oscar Delp that he's the only tight end that they would take in this cycle. He is just that talented. If not, then they will likely not take another tight end or not move off another tight end, move to another tight end until Oscar Delp would make his decision. So he's going to be at Georgia, South Carolina this weekend. Those are 2 teams among his final 4. The next weekend, the final weekend of the month of September, Oscar Delp will be basically spending the weekend relaxing. That's a family trip, I've been told, that they're going to have, and there will be no game visits or anything else like that. And then Oscar Delp is set to then very likely take another visit to South Carolina. He has promised all those schools that he wants to come back for a home game to soak up a home game environment for all of those schools. So more power to him. I mean, this is a young man that is keeping his word about what he set out to do with all these coaches. He said, I would come back and get a game, check out a game before he makes his decision. So one of the things that's kind of not going to happen is the September the 30th, his mother's birthday, which he had hoped to do to honor his mother on her birthday with his commitment decision. Don't see that happening now. So I would look for Oscar Delp's decision to move into sometime into October. And that would be very much a kind of a feel thing about where he's at after he makes all those things. And number 1, the 5-star Kamari Wilson, IMG Academy, Bradenton, Florida. I think Kamari, what he's kind of verbalized it and kind of maybe phrased it for me is he wants to focus on his season. He wants to focus on being a leader on and off the field for the ascenders of IMG Academy. And then he'll get to his recruiting when it's time to get to his recruiting. And those are certainly admirable thoughts there for a young man, especially with his options and his recruiting station as the nation's number 1 safety. And he has been the number 1 top target on this Dog Nation Before the Hedges program, the top target segment of our show appears every week. He's been the number 1 top target for the remainder of the 2022 class ever since Branson Robinson chose Georgia back on July the 27th, I believe. Folks, those are your top targets. Let's look at some other names that are probably going to spark some interest. Let's take a quick look at all the other names to know. A couple of these guys would be in. We see timelines as well go up on the screen briefly, but the other names to know: Jojo Bermudez, really shifty Isaiah McKenzie-ish type receiver out of New Jersey. I know Todd Monken has took a specific liking to him. 3-star offensive lineman legacy Drew Bobo. Georgia's basically in his final 3. Bobo's actually going to be in the house with another elite offensive line target for Georgia out of the same Auburn High School. That would be Braden Joyner. Both of those guys will be in Athens this weekend. Another name to know: I got Dayon Smoke Bowie, currently committed to Texas A&M. 4-star wide receiver Jaden Gibson. You've got some news to share with him this week as well. Chase Meyer, Georgia. Just watch Georgia with Chase Meyer. I wonder what things might happen if Georgia has room under the new scholarship rules. Did everybody see the scholarship? This is one of the things I wanted to shoehorn into today's show a little bit. The NCAA is proposing legislation, which should go through. It would be temporary this year, and then they would enact further legislation that would be permanent for the forthcoming cycles. But basically, it's a way to get classes up to like 27, 28 signing cap limits. There's a proposal out there that you could lose if you lose up to 7 guys to the portal, you could get those 7 scholarships back as a way to keep, maybe help high school and junior college recruiting. So if you lose a guy, that scholarship can be replaced on your counter. Very interesting there. Walter Nolan out of Powell High School. I was interested to see where Georgia was at with things with Walter Nolan, with where he was going to make his visit this weekend. Walter Nolan is actually going to visit Florida for the Alabama game. Very huge game. Very big 3:30 CBS game there. Walter Nolan plans to be in Gainesville, Florida. Sean Washington out of Warren Easton High, New Orleans, Louisiana. I would expect Sean Washington, the 3-star defensive tackle, to also be in the house this weekend for Georgia, South Carolina. DJ Wesselak, Shamar Stewart, that's a guy that Georgia's going to have to bring him in closer to the end of the year for one of those late official visits to see how well that recruitment is going. And then, like you said earlier, 4-star edge Anai White out of Imhotep Charter. He's going to be in Athens this weekend as well. Depending on how that goes, I expect it to go very, very well. You might see Anai White pull a Lazarus off the other names to know board and maybe work his way back up into the top targets for this cycle. This week, scheduled high noon tomorrow. Like I said earlier, we're under a commitment watch now for 3-star edge defender Carlton CJ Madden. He's going to make his decision known at noon tomorrow. I think October 2021 looks like the new revised timeline, as we just discussed maybe a couple of minutes ago about Oscar Delt. And then for October the 13th, that one is already figured out. 4-star wide receiver Jaden Gibson is going to make his decision known from his high school. His parents are both Florida legacies right there. Some news on the commitments on the recruiting class as a whole snapshot. Texas, they may have lost to Sam Pittman and Woo Pig Nation over the past weekend, but they did move up. They're the number 3 recruiting class in the country. Georgia's 2022 group, at least for now, is number 4 nationally. 8 guys on offense, 7 on defense. In-state, out-of-state, it's almost an even split. Malachi Starks is currently the only 5-star committed publicly in the class. Top 50 commits, you see the names there. Top 100, top 150. Almost all those guys are in the SEC footprint right there. There you go. Breakdown of the Georgia 2022 class. It's now time what we would call the social media buzz, or some things that I thought that you guys wanted to see. Mike's right on me right here. He's like, man, don't forget your top targets for 2023. Number 5, the 4-star running back Justice Haynes. Number 4, Jonelle Aguero out of IMG Academy, another hard-hitting safety. Think of maybe a faster Lewis Scene. Malik Bryant, the 5-star edge. I tell you what, Malik Bryant had an interesting bit of information he shared on social media. I'll paraphrase the tweet here because we got so many tweets to show you, but he saw about Georgia having all the sacks and all the pressures through so many games. He called it a dominant defensive performance. Number 2 is Levius LT Overton. Will be very interesting to see if LT Overton winds up being in the house for Georgia, South Carolina. I do know this 5-star cornerback in the 2023 class, A.J. Harris, is not expected to be in Athens this weekend for Georgia, South Carolina. I think he is planning to make a trip to UGA later on in the season. The big restock positions for Georgia, offensive tackle, wide receiver, folks. I'm going to tell you right now, if I put a restock position chart up on Dog Nation and I don't have wide receiver up there, you must think something's wrong with me or somebody's replaced Jeff. Because for me not to put Georgia needs to recruit badder dudes at wide receiver, that must have mean this program has won a couple of national championships in a row. Running back, I think Georgia still needs 2. I thought it was very interesting. If I had to go another name on that list, I would put Reuben Owens, who's going to be in Athens for Georgia, South Carolina. I would put Reuben Owens the second on that list as well. It's probably at number 6 right there. He's a guy that Georgia definitely needs, especially one of those. I'm going to tell you, he's a 3-down back. He's a home run hitter. He is a guy that can catch the ball very well out of the backfield. I think Georgia as they start to diversify their backfield. They'll have, a couple more years, a year and a half, of Kendall Milton, likely Branson Robinson, Jordan James, going on. I think a player like Reuben Owens II would be a pretty stout fit for Georgia if the great Dell McGee can also get him to sign on to play for the University of Georgia as well. Those are your top targets. Now let's move forward to our online chatter. We've got a long list of things to show you guys. Tell you what, the phone never stays dry. I'm going to show you this. I thought it was hilarious. You guys know Bassin Dog? Do you guys know Steve? If you do, give me a shout out and say, Bassin, exclamation point. I love this. Look at this. Look at this GIF right here. Any Game of Thrones fans out there? If you are, then you'll understand where he's going right there. Stetson Bennett, the fourth of his name, Dragon Slayer, protector of Sanford Stadium, breaker of records, deliverer of the mail. Folks, that has nothing to do with recruiting, but I'm a fun dude. I like to make folks laugh, and I like to make folks have a good time. And you see what he did right there? He got some creative wizardry right there. When he's not fishing, he's pretty good with. I guess that would be Adobe Photoshop. He's working in right there. Of course, he turned Daenerys Targaryen into Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett is probably as tall as Jon Snow. And he might know nothing about who Kirby Smart's going to start from week to week, but I thought it was pretty cool. Did anybody see the UAB Blazer mascot? First of all, that probably belongs ripped out of Blue's Clues. It was so interesting seeing that UAB Blazer mascot. But then they had like Georgia's spiked shoulder pads. They had this thing that was like a small dragon head, which is kind of like in the Dragon Pit at King's Landing from that show when they saw the little small dragon heads that were no bigger than a dog. That was what they put like a skull and crossbones type thing around UAB's guys when they made an interception and got a turnover. But look at this one, folks. I tweeted this one out. I saw this. This is Sammy Brown, the 2024 Wonder Kid in every certain sense of the word. He got a picture with Tate Ratledge, the two mullets. I've got a great picture of Sammy. I've got to put up in a story. Look at that right there. I saw this and I retweeted it on Twitter, but I was like, sometimes the universe just gives us things we probably don't deserve. And to see a picture of Tate with a big smile and Sammy, you kind of got a blonde haired dude right there and a brown haired mullet right there. That's just something right with the world when that can happen. Sometimes the universe gives us things that we don't really deserve, especially this quick, but that's pretty good. I considered that to be some Twitter gold when Sammy Brown tweeted that out. I thought that was pretty stinking cool. Moving on through the list, Luther Burden, he will drop his top 3 on Friday. I'm going to tell you what I'm interested to see there. Does he still keep his old committed school, Oklahoma, in there? That would be the neat little wrinkle for me. I would call the shot there, and I would say that Georgia and Missouri will make up 2 of that 3. I wonder what other school might sneak in there as well. Pretty cool here. Now let's go to Jaden Gibson. That was a 4-star wide receiver. Folks, he's a little bit taller than this 6'4" he has right here. Both of his parents went to Florida. Look at that final group. He's got Tennessee, Miami, Baylor, Florida State, Florida, Auburn, Georgia, South Carolina. He's going to do it on 24/7 Sports. It's going to be on Wednesday, October the 13th. I think for this to be Georgia, I don't know if enough has happened here. I think Jaden Gibson needed to come back to Athens. I think Jaden Gibson needed to take an official visit to UGA. Be very interesting to see if he can squeeze in a couple of official visits before that October the 13th timeline. You have it right there. Jaden Gibson, another tremendous lethal wide receiver. We mentioned Ernest Green before. He's going to be in Athens on an official visit this weekend. He was playing they were getting ready to take on East St. Louis and Luther Burden. That was very interesting, right? Luther Burden's team taking on Ernest Green's team, St. John Bosco. That's the school which produced DJ Uyunglele, among many, many others. You see everybody. I advise you this. I counsel you this. Don't put stocking gloves. Don't put stocking gear. But at least it's something to think about. I think when it all comes down to it, at least the young man, at least the young man has a pair of gloves in his possession. I wanted to show this to you guys. You know, I'll probably try to stay one of the most humble people in this business. I think that's just the right way to be. But I want you to see this picture here. This is Tralee, from Tralee Hale, mother of Keely Ringo. I had a chance to speak to her about this picture here. It's very funny, and you know, there are reporters out there that get on diatribes about, you know, media access and media restrictions. You know, again, we have a job to do, and we'll figure out a way to do it by any means necessary, or basically by the parameters that are put around us. But there were so many things that were going on here, and I want to spend a second talking about this. If you guys haven't read the story, folks, when do I ever tell you to go read stories? But you should go read that one. Maybe that's my one every 5 years card I'm going to pull right here. But the first thing here is so many things took place. I guess you want to, you know, all of our parents, all of the people that we grew up around, when they bring up faith, and they guided us with faith throughout our young years, when we're going through ages of accountability, they talk to us about everything happens for a reason. So let me take you through some of the things here with Keely Ringo's story. You know, if you guys know Team Tralee, she's been fighting cancer. Georgia fans helped her raise over $50,000 to help her fight against cancer. She was able to elevate her standard of care. She's actually had to have additional surgeries since a mammogram found a lump in her breast. I think this was June the 7th, and then she got her diagnosis. She was almost stage 3. Stage 2.5, she described it, on June the 12th. And that was about the same time basically a week later, that Keely reported to Georgia. And they found out that a shoulder that had been bothering him, that had been treated through acupuncture and physical therapy, required surgery on his labrum. He would have season-ending surgery. So Keely was going through that low, while Tralee was going through that low. They have a very close family. Tralee also lost her father about a month ago. And that what they did, if you guys read in that story, this is one of the most amazing special parts of the story to me, is Keely's grandfather never got to see him play a college football game. And when he passed, he passed about a month ago. They decided last week that they would spread his ashes around portions of the hedges at the 50-yard line on both sides, so that his grandfather would kind of be there, besides looking down on him in spirit. I just thought that was an amazing part of this story. Tralee told me she prayed to him before the game and said, "Let's go get a pick, Dad." First week of the season, I know, guys, this is a long story, but first week of the season, Keely didn't have the best game. Keely had 2 pass interferences, so he was able to work really hard. That this past week, he told reporters this week at Georgia that he worked really hard on getting his head around and playing the ball in the air, acting like a receiver. He spent some extra time in the film room. He spent some extra time in drills and practice trying to sharpen that up. If he doesn't have a less than stellar performance against Clemson, maybe he's not in his bag as much. He's not working as hard as much about getting his eyes around and snapping his neck around to follow the ball. That's where that interception takes place. That was the result of some of that, practice makes perfect, some of that hard work in the lab and that grind. Keely goes to her first Georgia home game last week. Tralee goes to her first Georgia home game last week, and she just sees an empty chair, and she's like, "Wow, I'm going to go sit down. Nobody's in that chair." She starts watching warm-ups, and she just stays there. And people come by, they hang out. Somebody brings some ices, some iced lemonades. They all start having a good old time. And that it's just this point, probably in the third or fourth quarter, where I think this is why I think having reporters that follow this team and cover this team really matter. I know Tralee. I know her story. I've been covering them since Keely was a recruit. Saw them out in Texas, saw them during their recruiting period, wrote the stories about the snake, wrote the stories about the visit he took to Athens, the scavenger hunts. So then I said, okay, that's Tralee. And then when the interception took place, I was able to. I knew what that meant. That was big for Keely. It was big for Tralee as well. And I wheeled around with my camera. Folks, I'm not a photographer by trade. I didn't even start maybe taking photographs at all in media until about 5 years ago. All my other stops as a reporter just said I had to write. We always try to. I'm always kind of worked by the belief that you should always expand your skill set as long as you can. Keep getting better and keep adding new tricks to your sleeve, new arrows in your quiver, so to speak. And I took a bunch of pictures within 10 seconds of Tralee having fun. And we captured a lot of those. We posted a lot of those and published a lot of those on dognation.com. And I guess you see a woman that's in pure joy. I kind of took the time this week to write about that with some depth, because I love it when sport reveals humanity. And when sport basically shows us who we are, shows us what matters, and you get those kind of revealing moments about people through what happens during a football game. And I thought that was definitely that. Sorry, guys, if I took too long talking to you about that story, but I really wanted to add to your viewership and your fandom about watching Keely and watching Tralee going forward. So I thank you for that. And if my retelling of this story made you want to go read about it, great. And hopefully it wasn't an unnecessary expense of your time. I just wanted to make sure on Hedges this week that I got a chance to tell the latest version of the Tralee Hale and Keely Ringo story. So I certainly enjoyed sharing that story. So there we have. I think we had Tralee in the last one. Julio Humphrey. This is Julian Humphrey, a current Florida commit. He was one of the two guys in late July that started doing that red on red. Dayon Bowie was the other one. I think Georgia has really kind of locked in on him as a potential replacement for Dayon Bowie in the class, no matter what Dan Mullen might think. So Julio Humphrey, you see official visitors coming up. This is for the Arkansas game. Certainly that's going to be a big game. Thanks to what Coach Pittman and his boys were able to do last week against Texas. Might be the crown jewel of the home schedule now as well, with Sam Pittman probably bringing in a top 15 team, top 20 team into Athens for that football game. SEC East, SEC West clash certainly will be it's just good, guys, to sit there and see official visits happening in Athens, Georgia again. Braden Joyner, mentioned him earlier. I'm going to kind of rip through these right here. Braden Joyner, I think he's the nation's #1 center in the class for Rivals.com for 2023. Him and his teammate Drew Bobo. Drew Bobo is a 2022 offensive guard, center type prospect. Georgia has offered him to play the interior offensive line. Both those guys from Auburn High will be there in Athens this weekend as well. Let me show you Hero Canoe. He just celebrated a birthday. Really like this young man. He just turned 17. He's about 6'5", super athletic, 295 pounds. I'm gonna say this right here, folks. If Georgia ends up signing this young man, he will be as good as any of the defensive tackles we've talked about in this class. I think he's that special. I think he has that big of a future ceiling. He's not really even scratched the surface of what he can be, the way he moves. The way Trey Scott has gone about recruiting him so far, I think Georgia is right in the middle of that Hero Canoe recruitment. And I say it every week. One of these weeks, I'm going to get it right, because this week I wanted to write the Hero Canoe story, but I had to write the Tralee Hale story along with the freshman report and along with some bones where I start looking at things from the human interest side of a lot of these storylines across the Georgia team. So bear with me. That Hero Canoe story is coming. Also, we got to make sure we throw out a shout out here to Griffin Scroggs, who was named and committed to the All-American Bowl out in Texas, to add another Bulldog in this class out to the East roster. I think he's going to play center for the East. Griffin Scroggs out of Grayson High School. Griffin Scroggs was actually in the house last week for the UAB game as well. Took a very beeline towards watching the offensive linemen work, watching Matt Luke coach those guys. Talk about a personality. He had a bucket hat as well. He looks like he's missed a few razor dates over the last 2 or 3 weeks as well. Griffin Scroggs, former Georgia Tech commitment, now an All-American, going to go play center in the All-American game out in Texas. This is his last name here. We mentioned him before in our visitors. This is Anai White out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Obviously, the city of brotherly love has been very good to Georgia on the recruiting trail in recent years. And Anai White kind of got a final group: Alabama, Texas A&M, Ohio State, Georgia. He gave Georgia an official visit as well. I think this is a chance where I don't think that official visit went amazing for Georgia. And I think Georgia gets another chance to show him what Sanford Stadium on a Saturday night looks like in front of a rocking crowd. And I know Sanford Stadium and the electricity around Sanford Stadium, rain or no rain, I know that will not disappoint. Guys, you got any questions? Tell me how that worked. Again, sorry if I went too long on the Trelew Keely Ringo story. I know folks are busy. I just wanted to give you guys a synopsis of that story. Did you guys like playing door number 1, door number 2, door number 3, door number 4? I just thought of a way to frame up this show right before we went on air. I thought it would be a neat way to do it. I see one from Xavier Brown. Xavier, like that. Xavier's got some text here for me to read too as well. I love listening to the show every night. Wednesday night, he asked me if Georgia missed on all their D-line targets, what the D-line will look like next year. You think we're going to sign at least 2 to 3 of the Georgia's top D-line prospects? What do I think? I think next year's defensive line, you won't have Jordan Davis, you won't have Devontae Wyatt, you won't have Julian Rochester. I don't think you'll have Trayvon Walker. So I think this is going to be an upward climb. You're going to see Zion Logue probably starting with Jalen Carter. You're going to see Warren Brinson making the move up. You're going to see Nazir Stackhouse making the move up. You're going to see a guy like maybe Tyrion Ingram Dawkins making a move. I think Jonathan Jefferson, another true freshman guy, would make a move. Marlon Dean, another true freshman, would make a move. Bill Norton is playing a lot of good ball right now. He's getting early into second quarters, third quarters of games. One of the Tennessee 3 along with Zion Logue. I think you'll see him higher up in the food chain hierarchy as well. Tyree West will begin to assimilate as well. I think Georgia, if it's Barry Alexander, if it's Christian Miller, I think Christian Miller is the type of guy that can play quickly at Georgia. He's just got the acumen for it. He's got the right work ethic, the way he's wired. I think Georgia's defensive line will be in pretty good shape for the 2022 season, even if Georgia was to miss on all those kind of major defensive line targets. But I don't think Georgia's going to miss on all those defensive line targets. And I want you to think about this first. I would imagine Georgia would be very competitive in the transfer portal for an elite defensive tackle prospect with only one more year to go before NFL eligibility. That's what I would say there. Joe Wells wants to know, how's Gunner doing with recruiting? Brock Vandegrift killed it. Any comparison? Folks, I want to tell you, Gunner Stockton is like a rock star amongst the guys in his class. I remember even guys like Tyler Booker telling me how amazing he was and how cool it would be to play with him. I think Gunner realizes his work is basically centered in two. He's got 2 jobs to do for the University of Georgia. The first of those he considers Oscar Delp. He's going to try to be Oscar Delp's wingman. A lot of times whenever he takes a visit to Georgia, he was obviously with Oscar Delp for the Georgia-Clemson game up in Charlotte. I think Drew Bobo means a lot to him as well. I think Gunner really wants to play with Drew Bobo. Folks, Gunner is like the anti-recruit. I get the feeling if I ever wanted to know what it would be like to cover recruiting in 1985 or 1995, that would be like the coverage of Gunner Stockton. Gunner looks at this thing as like, I need a roommate. Come be my roommate. Not, I'm going to throw you 30 touchdowns in your Georgia career. That's the way he goes about it, and it works. I'm going to tell you, Gunner has a natural charisma. I'm of the belief that quarterbacks not only have to be talented. This is not the NFL. This is not Aaron Rodgers. I think quarterbacks have to be talented, and I think quarterbacks have to win over the huddle, and they have to make guys want to play for them. And I think they want to make guys have to bleed for them. And I know Gunnar Stockton will do all those things. He's very, very, very active in the pocket. He's a very tough kid. I've seen him turn into a bulldozer many, many times, trying to bowl through guys for extra yards. Very tough. He will stand in the pocket and take a hit, and man, he can spin that football. He can throw that football as well. I think it is a win-win situation, whether it's 2 or 3 years of Carson, whether it's 2 or 3 years of Brock Vandegrift, or 2 or 3 years of Gunnar Stockton. You want to ask me how in the world Georgia adds Arch Manning to that group, or a Dylan Lonergan to that group, or a Marcel Reed to that group? It's going to be very hard to do that. And, when you want to talk about great recruiting feats of the Kirby Smart era, love to see how Georgia makes that happen. Any other questions? Al Chandler. Nolan Smith doing very well, thank you. All right, guys. It has been another Before the Hedges brought to you by Kroger. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed hanging out on another Wednesday night talking all things UGA recruiting. We definitely try to rip through a lot of things about visitors, big names showing up, everything else like that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Excuse me, folks. There you have it. I know everybody rolls their eyes when they see a fella sneeze during a live stream, but you know what? Sometimes you got to sneeze. That's all I got to say. And always, guys, sometimes you got to hang out on a Wednesday night with Dog Nation Before the Hedges. Sometimes you got to follow Georgia recruiting passionately, like all you folks do as well. Thank you. I'm seeing all the bless yous right there. Your grandmas, your moms, I'll be very proud of you. My virtual sneeze. Thank you for all the bless yous. Nonetheless, we can all certainly deserve it. I want to do this one thing. Something's on my mind. I don't know if you guys follow Twitter, but I know a lot of people in this business follow all the reporters that cover Georgia and Georgia recruiting. I want to take a minute and just say, if you guys believe in the power of prayer, or if you feel like saying a word of prayer for a guy in this industry who has my ultimate respect, that would be Chad Simmons. Chad's very brave. One of another guy that does this job very well, Rusty Manziel, tweeted out and shared on his Instagram account that there's nobody in this business that works harder than Chad Simmons, and he's fighting COVID right now. He's kind of on the DL right now, and I just wanted to let you guys know that it's a really good dude that does some of the same work that I do and that Rusty does. And, we all work for different companies, but that doesn't mean we're real people as well. And I just wanted to share a message of support and hope that I see Chad Simmons back at a game real soon after he's kicked COVID a little bit. And he's back doing what he loves to do, because I know it's tearing him up right now that he's not able to do that. But just felt like saying that, man, because certainly somebody that's worthy of prayer and support. And hearing about somebody that I think does this job, that what we do very well, and hate it that he's having to go through this right now as he fights COVID. I thought it was extremely brave how Chad shared a message on his Twitter account this week about what he was going through and how he was fighting through it. So, Chad, I just wanted to say in a very public forum that my thoughts and prayers are with you as well. And hopefully I just want to let you guys know about it as well, because sometimes we're all busy and we don't know what we're all going through in this life. Guys, I'm Jeff Sintel. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger. We'll catch you again sometime soon on the pages of DogNation.com.